into the done report. So before I open up the done report tab, so every owner should have access to this in your account, regardless if you're on organize or newly released scale plan, you will have access to the done report. And so let's take a step back and ask ourselves, what is the purpose of the done report? Well, if you've ever found yourself asking, what did my team accomplish? Did they get it done on time? How did they perform budgeted time versus actual time? How much time have they logged? How much time were they budgeted? Who's been checking off the work? Maybe somebody else has been checking off other team members' work. You want to see who that is. If you want to see what work is getting done on time versus off time, these are all the questions the done report can answer. So let's go ahead and open up. I'm going to click done report right here. And here it is in all its glory. It's the done report under your report subtab. So let's walk through what this report is, what it is showing you, and some of the interesting information you can get about team performance, personal performance, or firm performance from this specific view. So I'll just give you a high level rundown of the entire screen, and then we'll dig into some scenarios. So the first thing you're going to see here is you can pull any period within a 3-month radius from our bar up here. So if I wanted to pull all of Q4, I could do so. If I wanted to pull just the month of November, like I've done right here, I can do so as well. If I want to zoom into a week, if I want to pull 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it may be, if I want to look at Q1 from this year, I can do that. Again, any 3-month period in your firm that you want to take a snapshot of, you can do that within this time range up here. You can also filter by your clients and your team inside of your firm. Now, a neat thing with these filters, and you're also going to notice this in your jobs tab, by the way, if you haven't seen this yet, is that you can search by any client. So if you have a long list of clients, like many of our firms do, if I just want to open up everything that we've completed for Ben Harper CPA, I can do so, right? And I can generate a report of everything that's been done just for a client. I can see what was completed at the job level. I can see when it was due. I can see when it was completed, who the client was. Of course, it's Ben Harper, and the budget versus the actual time. I can see 40% of his work last month got done on time. We did 10 jobs, and we're under the budgeted time up here. Now, like I mentioned, you're going to notice when things are overdue, even at the line item level, it's going to turn red when that completion date exceeds the original due date. So that's at the job level. You could also see the task breakdown for this client. So you can see that there was 15 tasks completed for him. It looks like 60% of those tasks were completed on time. Again, I could see which specific ones for which job are getting in on time versus not. I could also see something pretty interesting. When you see an assignee's name and it's red, that means somebody else checked off the task. It wasn't assigned to them. Somebody else checked off the task. So if you want to know who's stepping in and maybe checking off work for other folks across your firm, you'll be able to see that in the red indicator right here. But you can also filter not only by client. So let's go back to all clients. If I want to zoom into a team member, I could do so as well. And again, I can just run a search up here. I could just select it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what David's been doing. 5 tasks assigned. He completed 13. So what is this telling me? If I see tasks assigned and the task completed is above the task assigned, it seems like David's stepping in and checking off other people's work, which from a firm teamwork, accountability, and capacity perspective, you want to know about. So I think this is a really great way to just take a look at, hey, are team members completing off all their work? And even more so, are they completing off somebody else's work, right? You could take a look at the percentage of work they're getting done on time. And then again, budget v actual, all right here. Now you'll notice that David wasn't assigned any jobs. He's only been completing tasks, which is okay. And so as such, this will not fill up at the top. Now, if I pull another team member, and apologies, I'm not very creative with my names here. One day I will be. I can open this up and look at a different team member. Had a lot more work on their plate. Completion rate 45% on time. Right, you can see the budgeted time right here. Now, this is another important thing to note. Even if you're not using the time tracking feature inside of Jetpack Workflow, if you're using budgeted time, you can see that, in this case, David had 22 hours of budgeted work for the month of November. Now, depending on their employment status, how much they can actually work, this will give you an indication if you're starting to exceed capacity at the team member level, right? If David's really only supposed to work 20 hours or 15 hours, you're, unless November was an atypical month, you're going to be butting up against that capacity. Again, you have a full audit trail of everything that's gone on for this team member, both at the job level as well at the task level. Now, a couple final things I'll mention as we go through this view, and should have mentioned this at the top. I don't believe this will take 30 minutes, so I'm happy to take questions as well. But the final thing I'll mention is the really amazing thing about this view is you can actually view it on the go. So if you want to bookmark this on your mobile device, if you want to have it as a quick find on your smartphone, you can open up the done report and you can view a mobile version of this as well. So if you're out and about and you just want to see what's going on last week, this month, you can pull this entire view on your phone as well. So that is the done report in a nutshell. Again, I think this has a tremendous benefit because now you can look at not only are folks getting their work done, are they getting it done on time, and what is the budget via actual? And you could do the same thing with the client. You're probably going into year end, and with a certain percentage of clients, you might be doing a review of how Q4 went or how the recent tax season went. If you want to pull up July, for example, or March, April, and you want to see how you performed either at the team member level and to understand performance or capacity, or at the client level to know that maybe there's some bottlenecks I need to investigate here. So if I look at ABC firm, 44% done on time, Ben Harper, 50%, let's see, Jetpack, 40%. I know that, even just looking at these three clients, we're averaging what, 45, 50%. Now, when I see firms start to drop or ones start to elevate, I would want to dig into that. So if I have Ben Harper here and we're completing on average 10 percentage points higher than other clients, I'm probably going to want to figure out why. Is there something about Ben Harper CPA that it's easier to get their information from? They're easier to work with. They're better to work with. I think, this is a great springboard to start to audit your own client base and your own team member base, right? You're going to have team members that some of them might, for whatever reason, just get work done at 80% of the time, 90% of the time. And what you could do is you can ask them what they are doing. How are they holding themselves accountable? So you can learn those best practices and share it across the board. So this is a really great view to, again, take a snapshot of the firm, see how you're performing budget via actual, but also is work getting on time. And when you're finding bright spots, of course, you want to call that out to the team member, but it's also a great springboard to investigate exactly what's going on, with that client or with that team member to then distill best practices. So I'll pause it here as I'm open to take questions, and I'm also curious, how do you see yourself using the done report, in the fourth quarter as we're rounding out this wild year of 2020? What specific thing are you going to pull from this report? Are you going to pull it by team member, for example? Are you going to look at budget via actual? Are you going to start looking at percentage of work completed on time? Go ahead and type into the chat right now how you see yourself using the done report over the next couple months. And I'm really curious to see everybody's going to be ingraining this in their firm. And while the results are coming in, let's go ahead and open up the chat. Oh, somebody says if I want snapshots that are longer than 3 months at a time, then you would just pull it, quarter by quarter, to assess. You would, so I'd grab, Q4 right here, and then I would just slide, for Q3, Q2, Q1. That's a great question. So it's not that you can only pull the trailing last 3 months. You can pull any 3 months period, in this report. That's a great question. All right. Well, I don't see too many questions here today, so it looks like we're just excited to dig in, start seeing how we utilize the report. A couple resources for you to know about in the fourth quarter. The first one is we also, on top of releasing the done report, recently released a Zapier certification course. So if you've been hearing about Zapier, okay, and you've been wanting to investigate how to put more automation into your firm in 2021, I was just talking with a firm owner on the podcast a week ago, and he automated the firm onboarding. So as soon as a client signs in, I think it was PandaDoc, they get sent a welcome email. They're created in Jetpack. Onboarding jobs are created. OneDrive folder is created for that client. something happens in Teams or Slack to let people know that a new client's on board. And that was all done through Zapier. So every client now has this experience and it's totally automated. Now, if you're a Jetpack customer and you want to explore the Zapier certification course, great news. It is a complimentary course in our knowledge base center. If you want access to it, I think the fastest, quickest way is probably just open up this chat down below and say, I'm interested in the Zapier certification course. What are the next steps? One of our customer success leads, Becky, put together this entire mini course about really, getting set up and started with Zapier. So if you want to save time, if you want to improve output without call it increasing headcount, Zapier certification course is a really, really, really great resource for you. Totally complimentary. Open up the chat in your Jetpack account and ask for that if you're interested in Zapier and automation in 2021. And the other thing I'll mention is as you're utilizing the done report, be sure to open up the chat and let us know what you're using it for, what you like about it, how you could see it evolving. We're constantly monitoring what's going on in these chats and trying to get feedback on what's going on and how these reports are running for you. So as you're interacting with them and you're pulling budget via actuals or client reports or looking at the percentage of work completed on time, go ahead and open up the chat and say, hey, I really love this about this report, or I wish it had this. We're open to any and all feedback, as we set the course for 2021. So that is it of the formal presentation for the done report. Let's see if there's any more questions coming in right now. Somebody did ask, currently does it export to Excel? No, not at this time. It's a great piece of feedback. It will certainly log that. I think it makes a lot of sense, but no, not at this time. Does not export into Excel. But again, if you find a scenario in which you're using the done report and you go, I really needed to push into Excel for these reasons, let us know either in this chat or in the bubble, down below. So if there's a specific piece of information you're not getting here and you wanted to export it, let us know why, because we'll certainly, review that and take it under consideration. All right. So, got one more right at the end. Yeah, somebody says, I love how it filters for a specific client one at a time. Yeah, and as a reminder, this view where you can now search, it's just these little things that add up to save a lot of time when you're using Jetpack Workflow. You can now search. So if you open up the Jobs tab, so let me go ahead and open up the Jobs tab here. And let me grab the client filter over here. You're going to see this search option everywhere, right? So it's not just in the done. This was a nice little update. It's kind of a little bit on the radar, but if you're using these filters a lot for the client or for the staff in your firm, you could just run a search instead of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So that's just another little quick advancement we made in the app. It's both in the done report as well as across where in the jobs area as well. Awesome. It looks like that covers all of today's questions. So we're really excited to get this into your hands. Again, it's available on every tier inside of the application. It's available for owners. Again, if you have more feedback, if you have more questions, please let us know. We're very excited to see what you do with the done report and excited for the direction we're going into 2021. Stay tuned for that. And do not forget, if you are interested in the Zapier course, open up the chat and ask. Oh, we got one more question right at the end. Somebody says, is there a way to add notes to the report? So so if you let me know what specific note you're trying to look for, it might be useful here. But I will say, if you're thinking of adding a note like on the side somewhere, you cannot add a note. However, you can add notes within jobs. So if I go into everything that's completed, for this team member, what I would recommend, and this reinforces the importance of for you and your team, if you are, as you're checking off jobs or tasks and you're blocked for whatever reason, like inside a Jetpack Workflow, very common label is waiting on a client. I would always add the waiting on client label and then put something like left voicemail for client. We'll try in 2 days. So I would make sure that as you investigate, maybe you're seeing a lot of target deadlines are not being met. So either for yourself or for your team, make sure that trail is being left in the job. so you can actually investigate exactly what's going on, right? So I could see in many cases where, perhaps it's not so much uh, that we missed work at some level. It's just that we didn't push out the due date because we were waiting on a client. But you should have the note trail on the right hand side to track everything that's going on. Again, if you're trying to chase down a client or you can't find a critical piece of information, I think I would recommend, if there's one thing that you could take away and move into 2021, it's really use this note pad on the right hand side of the job to leave an audit trail of what anybody's doing on a job. In fact, we've had firm owners say, if it's not in Jetpack, it didn't happen, right? If the note's not in Jetpack, it didn't happen. You said you called a client, but there's no note here, so it didn't happen. And I would really try to rely on this as your total audit trail for your firm, so that if something is looking off for a specific client or maybe a team member, month over month, you saw a significant drop in the percentage of work done on time, for example, you can open up and sample check a couple of their jobs and look at the audit trail on the right hand side in the notes. So I really recommend reinforcing kind of the note discipline at the job level. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it will certainly help when you're kind of analyzing the work in your firm. All right, all great questions. All great questions. Maybe add 30 more seconds. And of course, as you have questions that are coming up, I'm not the only done report expert here at Jetpack Workflow. If you have questions, our entire team has been navigating this view, helping firm owners, build out, done reports that are most useful for them by client, by staff members. So if you have questions about the utility or different ways you might be able to use the report to get insights from, you can always open up the chat down below and ask us a couple questions. All right. Well, I wish everybody has an amazing Monday. Of course, we're all excited for the Steelers game at 5 p.m. So I know everybody here is going to be rooting for them, even that one person that said go Saints. So, anyways, if you have anything else that we could be helpful with, we could help out in any way, always feel free to reach out. We're here to serve your firm. We're here to help you make sure you get your client work done on time. So, if there's anything we could do to help with that in any way, always feel free to reach out and let us know. Hope you enjoyed today's presentation and enjoy the rest of your Monday. Thank you so much.